Greetings and welcome to GamezMadeEZ. I'm Dan Z. Today we look at the 1 to 5 player sandbox space adventure Xayah, Embers of a Foresaken Star. This is the expansion to the base game Xayah, Legends of the Drift System. You're a rookie pilot about to explore a new star system in hopes to become one of the most famous pilots in the system. How you gain your fame is completely up to you, as it can be gained in many ways, from both the good and the bad side of the law. Earn yourself a steady income to upgrade your ship to support your way to fame. Let's open this sandbox and set up the game.
From this stack of sector tiles, find the Nair sector and place it in the center of the plate area. Shuffle the remaining tiles and then draw one for each player. We're setting up for a 3-player game. If a sector doesn't have one of these spawn points, discard it and draw a new one until all starting sectors have one. These are then shuffled and placed according to the layout shown on page 2 of the instructions. All discarded sectors are shuffled back into the pile and the pile placed nearby. Shuffle face down all relic tokens and place them aside. Divide the exploration tokens provided in the base game from those provided in the expansion. All expansion tokens from the base game are not used and can be returned to the box. Shuffle face down all exploration tokens from the expansion and place them nearby. From this pile, place an exploration token face down on each space containing the matching exploration symbol. Shuffle the mission, title, and event decks and place them nearby. Have available the cargo cubes, damage markers, credits, outfits, and modifications. Place the Kiln NPC card near the map and place its miniature on the rules space of the Nair sector right here. Shuffle the remaining 3 NPC cards and deal 1 to each player until they are exhausted. Each player places the card with the corresponding miniature between them and the player on their left. In a 4 or 5 player game, some players will not have an NPC between them. Place the fame track nearby. Players decide on how many fame points they wish to play to and place this victory marker in the appropriate space. Place the economy board nearby and roll a d6 for each section of the economy board. Place that many resource cubes matching the color of each section. From the stack of ship mats, separate out the blue Tier 1 ships and find their matching ability cards. Each player rolls a d20, and the player with the highest result gets first pick of the available Tier 1 ships. In counterclockwise order, each following player picks a ship from those remaining. Players choose their color and take the corresponding color token and markers. Players also take an impulse token, a player aid, 4,000 credits, and the ship miniature that matches the Tier 1 ship they've chosen. The impulse token is placed on the impulse space of the ship mat with its yellow side up. 4 markers are placed on each of the arm spaces of the ship mat. Another is placed on the highest position of the energy meter. Keep one on the name of your ship and place the final marker on the 0 position of the fame board. Place the color token on the base of your miniature and place your ship on the spawn point of the sector closest to where you sit. Now, following the same order as players picked ships, players now spend their credits to outfit their ships. A player is not required to spend all their money. Any money not spent is kept and used later in the game. The player may buy freely between outfits and modifications. More details about these later. The player who picked their ship and spent coins last receives the first player marker. Your game is now set up.
The game of Xayah revolve around the player's ships, and all the information about it are on these ship mats, including a backstory. So let's first start by learning about these ships.
The main section of the ship mat is your hold. This represents the physical capacity of the ship. Each space in the hold can carry one cargo cube or one modification. Outfits take up multiple hold spaces and must be placed to fit within the layout. These are the ship's 4 markers. Markers in the armed position can be moved onto outfits to activate them. Markers in the disarmed location cannot be used until armed. To activate this engine, for example, I'd move an armed marker onto my engine outfit. Below the hold is the energy meter. Energy is used to rearm markers that are disarmed. For each marker rearmed, 1 energy is needed. If no energy is available, then markers remain disarmed. This is your impulse engine. Engaging this engine by flipping the impulse token allows your ship to move the number of spaces listed here. Lastly, this is your bounty. Credits present in this location determines the alignment you have. No credits here means the star system considers you lawful. Throughout the game, if you choose to take unlawful actions, bounty is placed upon you. When any amount of credits are placed on this space, then you're labeled an outlaw. Place an outlaw token atop your ship's base to indicate this. Bounty makes you a target to other players. For any ship that destroys you receives the bounty for themselves. In addition to the ship mat, all ships come with an ability card. This card allows the ship to perform a special action that only this ship can perform. The top of each card specifies how the ability is used. The players spend the amount of energy listed on the bottom and follows its instructions. After use, the card is exhausted by turning it over. Ships come in 3 tiers. Tier 1 blue ships are what all players start with. Tier 2 green ships and Tier 3 purple ships may be bought later in the game, and each come with their own ability card, increasing the number of abilities you can use. With each additional tier, a ship's hold space and energy capacity go up.
Now that I've introduced to you your empty ship, let's fill it up with outfits and modifications and explain how they work.
There are 6 types of outfits: engines, shields, blasters, missiles, armor plating, and cargo pods. Engines, shields, blasters, and missiles have 3 tiers. Tier 1 outfits are inexpensive and take up little area in your ship, while Tier 3 outfits are expensive and large. But with each tier, the effectiveness increases. Outfits must fit within the hold of your ship. If the shape of your ship's hold doesn't allow an outfit to fully fit into the hold spaces, then it may not be placed. Each outfit has a certain number of use spaces on them. When a player wants to activate this outfit, they move an armed marker onto one of these spaces. Placing an armed marker on this engine outfit allows the player to roll a d8 to move. Placing these 2 armed markers on both these blaster spaces allows the player to roll 2d6 to attack another target. Placing 3 armed marker on the shield outfit allows the player to roll 3d12 to prevent damage to their ship. Keep in mind that you only have 4 markers total to use, so if you have both an engine and a blaster, and you use the blaster twice, you only have 2 markers remaining for your engine. Armor plating and cargo holds do not have use spaces. These instead allow 1 space in your hold to hold 4 things. These outfits must be placed so only the green space of the outfit rests inside your ship. The other 3 spaces must rest outside. These outfits may not be placed in locations that cause the 3 spaces outside the ship to overlap with other outfits. Normally, when you pick up cargo cubes to transport, you'll have to use up a space in your hold for each cube. With cargo pods, you can place cargo inside the spaces of the pod. Now, all 4 cubes are only using up 1 hold space in your ship. Only cargo cubes are allowed in these 4 spaces. When your ship takes damage, these damage tokens will be placed in your hold, each taking up 1 space. With armor plating, damage tokens can be placed in these external spaces, protecting the outfits and cargo in your hold. Only damage and ice damage can be placed in these 4 spaces. Never can this outfit carry anything else. Modifications use up only 1 space in your hold, or are placed directly on top of an existing outfit, upgrading them. We'll see exactly how each mod benefits your ship throughout the video.
Now that you know a little bit about your ship and the outfits used to operate it, let's learn about the star system we're exploring.
The star system is made up of these tiles called sectors. As the players move beyond the known world, new sectors will be added, expanding the system. The starting center sector is that of Nair, the born-again star that burst back into life just recently, invoking hundreds of questions among scientists. The star was so intriguing that the Kiln space station was built around it. There are many different types of sectors you'll find, each bringing their own dangers and benefits to the explorers of Zaya. Most sectors contain spaces that are outlined in thick colored lines. These are called borders, and any ship that passes through these will have to deal with the effects of each. Deep red borders are found around stars, anomaly centers, and comets, and when a ship passes through them, or they pass through a ship, the ship is destroyed. So probably not a good idea to go flying into stars. Orange asteroid fields, white ice fields, and pink nebulas all work in a similar way. Entering any of these fields requires you to roll a d20. On a result of 11 or higher, you successfully maneuvered through the border, and you can continue your turn. On a roll of a 10 or below, your ship takes damage equal to the number rolled. The type of damage taken is based on the field you've entered. Orange asteroid fields deal regular damage. White ice fields deal ice damage. And pink nebulas deal energy damage. More on how to prevent and resolve damage later. Yellow borders indicate debris fields. Large battles took place in these sectors decades ago, leaving behind floating scraps of ship debris. Moving into a debris field requires the player to roll a d20. On any result of a 4 or higher, the player is safe and can continue their turn. On a roll of a 1, 2, or 3, they've run into an old active missile or an unstable nuclear reactor, and it has exploded. The ship is destroyed. When moving out of any field, no die roll is needed, unless you've entered a new field, in which the new one will be resolved. Anomaly sectors have gravity paths. These are made up of purple or orange dash arrows. When a ship first moves into a gravity path, they pause their turn to allow it to take effect. Roll the die listed in the special rule space that matches the color of the gravity path you've entered. Then move along the path, in the direction indicated, the number of spaces rolled. This movement does not use up the ship's own movement. If moving in this manner takes you into a gravity path of a different color, then stop all movement from the first gravity path and now resolve the instructions of the new gravity path. Once the gravity paths have taken effect, you may resume your turn, assuming you haven't been destroyed. You can move freely on spaces with gravity paths matching the color you stopped on without having to go through its effects again. If you ever enter a space with a gravity path of a different color, then you pause your turn and allow the path to take effect. Ice sectors are dangerous areas with high concentration of frozen ember and a possible comet. When a ship enters into a space containing a comet's path, their turn pauses and the comet is moved. Roll the die indicated on the special rule space of the sector. Move the comet along its path the number of spaces shown on the die. If the comet ends in the space you are in, your ship is destroyed. After any comet movement is resolved, the player can continue their turn. The player can freely move along the comet path without triggering its movement again. Once the player moves off the path, returning onto it will cause the comet to move again. All planets are protected by planetary shields. Lawful planets have blue shields, outlaw planets have red shields, and neutral planets have green shields. When moving to or from a planet, a ship should use the entrance, the section of the shield that is dotted out. A player's ability to enter is based on their alignment. If a player is lawful, meaning they have no bounty, they may use the entrance of all lawful and neutral planets. If a lawful ship uses the entrance of an outlaw planet, they have been seen interacting with the outlaws and incur a 1,000 credit bounty, becoming an outlaw themselves. If a player is already an outlaw, they may enter outlaw and neutral planets freely, but they are not welcome in lawful planets and cannot use their entrance at all. Players are allowed to forego the entrance and try to enter a planet through the shields. This is not only dangerous, but illegal. To attempt this, a player moves their ship through the shield border of the planet. They then roll a d20. On a roll of an 18, 19, or 20, they've successfully maneuvered through the planetary shield without being caught. On a result of 11 through 17, the ship does manage to maneuver through the shields, but it was seen doing so and immediately incurs a 1,000 credit bounty. On a result of a 10 or below, the ship fails to bypass the shields. The ship is returned to the space it attempted from and sustains unblockable damage equal to the number rolled. Any ship can leave a planet through planetary entrances regardless of alignment. A ship is welcome to try to leave a planet through the shields, but the d20 must be rolled and resolved. If leaving through the shields would cause you to enter another planet through the shield, then both shield effects must be rolled separately. A failure in just one of the shields means you return to the space you started. Dead worlds are scattered across the star system. These are planets that used to teem with life, but have since found their conditions inhabitable. Star-traveling archaeologists are very interested in excavating dead worlds in hopes to learn about what happened to them. When these enter play, randomly draw and place face down the number of relic tokens indicated here. The spaces relic tokens rest are considered normal occupied spaces, meaning a ship can fly through these spaces but cannot end their turn on them. If all relic tokens have been excavated, then these are now unoccupied spaces. The last sector type are the gates. These are very advanced teleportation devices that connect long distances together. When a ship is in one of these three spaces contained within the gate, they may move to any other gate on the board for just one movement, except for the Tigress Gate. The Tigress Gate is malfunctioning. This gate does not connect to any other gate, so it cannot be traveled to from other gates. The gate can be used to travel out of. Sort of. A ship in this gate can spend one movement to roll a d20 and be teleported to the spawn point that is closest to the number rolled. If two sectors are equally close to the number rolled, favor the higher number. If a 20 is rolled, the player spawns at the spawn point of their choosing. The first player to use the Tigress Gate receives a fame point, as does the first player to use the working gates. Ships are allowed to travel through the gate spaces without using it. You can be reminded of all the borders and their effects with the summary sheet on the back cover of the rulebook.
Xayah is won by the player that achieves the winning level of fame first. A quick glance at the player aid card will show that the players can earn fame in all sorts of ways.
Exploring the star system can earn you fame. When you've collected 2 exploration tokens, You may turn them in for either 2,000 credits or 1 fame. Serving the star system by completing missions can earn you recognition. Each mission completed is 1 fame. Whether it's to rid the star system of dirty outlaws or just straight up villainy, each time you destroy a ship, you gain fame equal to the tier of ship you destroyed. So taking down a big tier 3 ship can earn you 3 fame. If combat doesn't suit you, perhaps being a well-known and respected merchant will bring you your fame. Each time a player sells all the cubes the planet desires, and it's at least 2 of them, they'll gain 1 fame. Having the newest ship will turn some heads. Each time a player buys a new ship, they earn 1 fame. Purchase that big house you've always wanted. Buy the extravagant and people will notice. Fame can be bought at 5,000 credits each. People are not impressed with a bought victory though, so the winning fame cannot be bought. The star system is a dangerous place, so when there's an act of kindness, it is noticed and talked about. Each time you rescue a stranded player, you earn 1 fame. Titles represent the interest of the people, and their interest will change with each game. In some games, they may look highly upon fast ships and risk-taking, while in the next, they prefer captains that are in it for the science. Maybe even other games, the people root for the outlaws to overthrow the law. Each time a fame point marker reaches a yellow space for the first time, a new title card is drawn and revealed during the status phase. To earn a title, a player must complete the task listed on the card. Upon completion, they earn the fame points listed and the ability granted below. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Roll a natural 20 at any time in the game earns you a fame. This can only happen once per turn. The star system of Zaya is unpredictable. Anything can happen at any moment. Introducing the events. Each time a fame point marker reaches a purple space for the first time, a new event card is drawn and revealed during the status phase. The section in the middle describes how the event changes the game. These event tokens can be placed onto the map to remind all players of an event in the area. Most events are only in play for a short period of time. The section on the bottom explains when this event will leave play. Participating in events that occur around the star system can get you noticed, and you may earn some fame. Finding out about the history of now dead worlds is beneficial to the entire star system. For each relic you sift, you can choose to gain fame.
Zaya is played over a series of turns, starting with the player who chose their ship last and going clockwise around the table. Each turn is divided into 3 phases: the action, the business, and the status. Let's go over the actions you can take during the action phase.
During their turn, players may take as many actions as they please, as long as they're able. The most common action is the move action. A move action can be performed in 2 ways, through the impulse engine or the outfit engine. To use the impulse engine, simply flip over its token and then move the number of spaces listed. This type of movement doesn't use up any of your ship's markers, but it can only be done once per turn. The other way to move is to use the engine outfit by taking an armed marker and placing it on one of the U spaces of the engine. In doing so, the player rolls the die listed on the outfit. The resulting roll determines the number of spaces the ship can move. Ships are allowed to move through other ships, but may never end their movement in the same space as another ship. If a ship moves through a border, resolve it accordingly. The player is never required to move the full amount. They may choose to stop at any time. Keep in mind though, if a ship stops early to perform another action, it loses all remaining movement it had. To help make an engine run more consistently, a player may think about investing in a gravitational thrust stabilizer, or the GTS. When this modification is placed in the hold so that it shares at least one side with your engine, it adds 2 to every roll made with this engine. The result can never be higher than the max number of the engine itself. For example, If I have a Tier 1 engine with a GTS mod attached, my roll of a 3 would become a 5. If I had rolled a 5, then it would only have become a 6, because a 6 is the highest the outfit allows. Multiple GTS mods have accumulative effects. Having an engine with 2 attached GTS mods will add 4 to all rolls. If the GTS mod ever becomes damaged, it stops granting its effect until repaired. Now we look at the 3 actions focused around missions: drawing missions, completing objectives, and completing the mission. There are 10 different mission types in the game, divided into 2 categories: lawful missions in blue and outlaw missions in red. Completing missions gains a player credits, fame, and even possibly bounty. Missions are focused around these spaces called mission points. When a ship moves onto a mission point, they are able to take the minor action of draw missions. The player simply draws the top 3 missions of the mission deck and places them unseen near their play area. They then continue with their turn. I mentioned earlier that if a player stops their movement early and performs an action, all current movement is lost. This is not the case when performing a minor action. Minor actions can be taken during the move action and does not forfeit movement in doing so. If the player flies to a different mission point this turn, they are free to draw 3 more missions and add them to those previously drawn. The player is not allowed to draw missions from the same mission point in the same turn. Only after their entire turn is complete may they look at all the mission cards they've gathered and choose which missions to make active. By default, the player can only have 1 active mission at a time. The mission they choose is placed face down next to their mat. The rest of the missions are discarded. While a player has their limit of active missions, they may not draw any more. If a player desires to have more than 1 active mission, they may invest into a mission computer. For each mission computer modification in a ship's hold, the player is allowed to have 2 additional active missions. If the mission computer becomes damaged, the player no longer receives these 2 additional missions, and is required to discard missions down to the new limit. All missions have an objective to complete, shown here. These can vary from picking up specific cargo, to doing research about an area of the star system, or maybe simply picking up a VIP and taxiing him to where he needs to be. If the mission objective shows a mission point, the ship must move onto the mission point of that sector and perform the complete objective action. If a mission point is occupied by another player, moving adjacent to the occupied space and having adequate movement remaining to move onto the mission point is sufficient to use the space. Upon achieving the objective, turn over the mission card and place the payment earned on the card itself. This mission is not yet complete, and these credits are not yet yours. To get the payment and fame for completing the mission, the ship must travel to the mission point of the indicated sector listed at the bottom of the mission card. Once reached, you can take the complete mission action. All credits on the card are transferred to the player. They gain fame and earn any bounty if instructed to do so. All completed missions are tucked face down under your mat and can be used as experience, which we'll see at the end of the video when we go over each mission type in more detail. Another action is to attack. This can be done in 3 ways: using blasters, using missiles, or ramming with the ship. Once an attack action has been announced, combat has started and is resolved in 6 steps. The first step is to acquire the target. This is a check to make sure that the target is both within range and in line of sight. Range is determined by simply counting the number of spaces between the attacker and the defender. The range of blasters and ramming is 1. The range of missiles is 6, but missiles cannot attack a target at range 1. 2 ships have line of sight with each other if a straight line can be drawn between the center of the ship's spaces without crossing borders that block line of sight. Borders that block line of sight are asteroid, ice and debris fields, planetary entrances and shields, and the deep red borders surrounding stars, comets, and black holes. Line of sight is maintained when traced through other players, nebulas, and gates. The yellow player has line of sight with the blue player, since nebulas don't block line of sight. But the red and green players are not seen, since red is hiding in the asteroids, and green is in low orbit around a planet. If range and line of sight are confirmed, the attacking ship must now declare what it's attacking with. The attacker moves armed markers onto the appropriate outfits for the attack, either the missiles, the blasters, and/or the engines, if it intends to ram. Once the attacker has announced his attack, the defender may now declare their defense. The defending ship moves armed markers onto any shield outfits they intend to use. Once both attack and defense have been declared, the dice can be rolled. The attacker rolls the type and number of dice corresponding with the outfits they have activated. The total rolled is the attack value. The defender does the same by rolling the type and number of dice corresponding with the shield outfits they've activated. The total rolled is the defense value. Damage is resolved by subtracting the defense value from the attack value. The defender takes damage equal to this amount. All negative values are counted as 0. For each damage taken, a ship must place a damage marker in the hold of their ship. The player receiving the damage gets to choose where each damage marker is placed. Each hold space holds one damage marker. If ever every space in a ship's hold contains a damage marker, the ship is destroyed. More on this in a second. If damage markers are placed atop outfits, then the outfits begin to lose their effectiveness. For each damage marker on an outfit, 1 is subtracted from all dice rolls. So if this engine had 2 damage markers on it when activated, 2 is subtracted from the dice roll, resulting in moving only 3 instead of 5. In the case of a 2 being rolled, then the ship can't move at all. If a damage marker covers up a used space, this space cannot be used to activate the outfit. This engine, for example, can no longer be used because the remaining marker spaces are damaged. If a damage marker is placed on a space where a marker rests, the marker is moved to the disarmed location. If a damage token is placed in a hold space that was holding a cargo cube, that cube is jettisoned onto the board in the current space of the ship. If the green space of a cargo pod suffers damage, then all cargo cubes inside are jettisoned onto the board. After damage has been resolved, the defending player may spend energy to return used markers placed on the shields back to the armed position. Each marker returned costs 1 energy. Any marker not armed are placed in the disarmed location. If the attacking ship chooses to ram its target, they use their engine as the weapon. Markers placed earlier for the purpose of moving may not be used again for the purpose of ramming. Only markers newly placed specifically for ramming contribute to the die roll. The defender may use shields to defend the damage as usual. The rolls are made, and the damage to the defender is determined as normal. The attacker, however, takes unblockable damage equal to the attack value rolled. Attackers may combine attacks if they so choose. For example, the attacker may choose to use blasters while ramming. This is done by placing armed markers on the blaster and the engine. When damage is resolved, the attack value will be the sum of all dice. The amount of damage the attacker suffers is only the die that corresponds with the engine. If ramming kills both ships, no fame points are rewarded or bounty payment received. If you're looking to get an edge in combat, think about upgrading your blasters and missiles with the Shield Piercer modification. This modification is placed directly on top of the use spaces of a blaster or missile. When this space is armed, the Shield Piercer subtracts 4 from the defense value of the defender. The effects of piercer modifications are cumulative. A blaster attack with 2 piercer modifications would result in a -8 to the defense value of the defender. If ever, every single space in a ship's hold is damaged, the ship is destroyed. When a ship is destroyed, its figure is removed from the board and placed on the player's mat. Any bounty is given to the player or NPC who defeated it. If it died from non-combat damage, such as asteroids or comets, then the bounty is returned to the supply. Clear all damage from the ship and discard all drawn and active missions. Any credits on the missions are lost. Refresh impulse engines and all ship abilities. Then suffer unblockable damage equal to the tier of the ship. On their next turn, the player rolls a d20 and spawns at the spawn point closest to the number rolled. If occupied, place it in any adjacent space. If they roll a 20, they earn a fame point and can spawn at the spawn point of their choosing. The player may then begin their turn.
In the example I showed earlier, a lawful ship killed another lawful ship. It should come to no surprise that killing a lawful ship is bad. Every time a player kills a lawful ship, they incur a 1,000 credit bounty. Now, there are far more things to do beyond just missions and fighting. Let's look at the sectors and see what they can provide.
In addition to moving, mission actions, and attacking, a player can also take several board space actions. These actions are found on the board itself and can be taken when a ship is in the appropriate space. As with mission points, if any board action space is occupied by another player, moving adjacent to the occupied space and having adequate movement remaining is sufficient to use the space. While a ship is in a buy space, it may take the buy cargo cube action. For each 1,000 credits spent, 2 cargo cubes of the listed resource are taken from the economy board and placed into the cargo hold of the ship. If there is only 1 cube remaining, then you only get 1. If there are no cubes of the appropriate resource on the economy board, this resource cannot be bought. Each cube must go into its own hold space. Any resources that cannot fit are simply returned to the economy board. The buy space of the smuggler's den allows the players to buy any 2 resources for every 1,000 credits spent. Resources bought here still come from the economy board, so any resource in demand can't be bought. While a ship is in the sell space, it may sell cargo cubes from its hold. The ship can only sell cargo matching the resource shown in the sell space. For each resource cube sold, the player earns 1,000 credits. If the player sells all the resources it's able to, and it's at least 2 cubes, the player earns a fame point. The player is allowed to sell less than all their cubes. They still get paid 1,000 credits for each they sold, but they will no longer receive a fame. A planet in need remembers when you held back on them. After the sale, all the cubes sold are converted into the resource the planet produces, listed in the buy space, also shown here on the economy board. These converted cubes are placed on the economy board supplying the star system. Each area of the economy board only holds 6 cubes. Any cubes produced beyond the 6 are returned to the supply. If the produced resource was one that was in demand, then you receive the 1,000 credits from the economy board. The outlaw planet of Loathe buys all 5 main resources for 1,000 credits each. Loathe will not buy Ember. To earn fame for selling to Loathe, a player must sell all cargo cubes in its hold, minus any Ember, and it must be at least 2 cubes. Withhold just 1 cube from Loathe, and the player does not gain fame. The greedy citizens of Loathe consume all resources brought to them. Loathe does not provide new resources on the economy board, so all resources sold to Loathe are put directly into the supply, leaving the economy thin. When the economy board is thin, it's up to the miners, harvesters, and salvagers to resupply the resources. When a ship is in a mining space and it has room for cargo, they may take a mining action. The player rolls a d20 and refers to the space for the result. A roll of 11 through 20 means 1 cube of the resource shown is taken from the supply and added to the ship's hold. A roll of a 1 through 10 means the ship is struck by an asteroid and takes damage equal to the number rolled. When the player takes damage during mining, they may activate shields to help prevent it. The appropriate number of dice are rolled, and the result is subtracted from the damage taken. Any damage not blocked by shields will cause damage to the ship. Place damage tokens as required. To help shields defend against the environment, a shield can be enhanced with the Environmental Shield modification. These mods are placed directly on the use space of your shield outfit. When you take non-combat damage, like from moving through borders or mining, you can activate this shield mod to automatically roll the maximum the shield can roll. If further mining actions are taken and damage is sustained again, the shield will have to be activated again with another armed marker to prevent the new damage. If you are out of armed markers, or all the slots in your shield have been used, then you're forced to take full damage to your ship. When a ship is in a harvest space and has room for cargo, they may take a harvest action. Harvest spaces work the same as mining spaces, except that a roll of 1 through 10 means the ship is struck by an electrical storm and takes energy damage equal to the number rolled. Player may activate their shields to block the damage. Any energy damage not blocked reduces the ship's energy. If you suffer enough energy damage to bring your energy to 0, but you still have more damage to account for, then armed markers are moved to the disarmed location for each energy. If energy is at 0 and all armed markers are used or disarmed, then your ship is stranded and no longer can take any actions. More on being stranded later. When a ship is in a salvage space and has room for cargo, it may take a salvage action on the old wreckage. The player rolls a d20 and refers to the space for the result. A roll of a 4 through 20 means 1 cyber cube is added to the ship's cargo hold from the supply. A roll of a 1, 2, or 3 means a leftover space mine has detonated and the ship is destroyed. Ember is a very dangerous but valuable resource to collect. It can only be quarried in ice sectors. If a ship is on a quarry space and has room in their hold for cargo, it may take the quarry action. The player rolls a d20 and refers to the space for the results. On a roll of an 11 through 20, place a single ember cube into the hold of your ship from the supply. On a roll of 1 through 10, masses of ice impact the ship and cause ice damage equal to the number rolled. Shields may be activated to prevent the damage. Any ice damage not blocked by shields is inflicted onto the ship. Ice damage is marked with these blue damage markers. Ember can only be sold at the Kiln space station, but it sells for 2,000 credits a cube. To enter the space station, a ship must move into the space containing the space station figure. In doing so, they are placed on any space on the Kiln NPC card. Each time a ship enters the space station, a d6 is rolled and the station moves that many spaces in its orbit. When a ship leaves the space station, it may be placed in any space adjacent to the figure. When Ember is sold, the cubes return to the supply. Ember never affects the economy board. Excavate spaces are found on dead worlds, where the player can go in search of ancient relics left behind on now extinct planets. If a ship is on an excavate space and has 2 adjacent open spaces in their hold, it may take the excavate action. The player rolls a d20 and refers to the space for the result. On a roll of 11 through 20, take the top relic token and place it face down onto the hold of your ship. On a roll of a 1 through 10, you find nothing, and the extreme conditions on the planet inflict ice damage equal to the number rolled. Shields may be activated to prevent the damage. Any ice damage not blocked by the shield is inflicted onto the ship. All relics are taken to the Kiln space station for examination. While in the space station, a ship can take a sift action. This removes a relic from its hold and reveals it. The player then chooses one of the rewards printed on the token. Rewards can be fame, credits, resource cubes, or even ship modifications. The black market world of Kai has a unique action space for trading. When in this space, a ship may trade any number of cubes in its hold, placing them back onto the economy board, and then take an equal number of different cubes from the economy board. If trading resupplies an in-demand resource, the player is rewarded the 1,000 credits. Ember may not be used in trade. A minor action available to players at any time is to jettison cargo. This simply means to remove cargo cubes or relic tokens from their hold and eject it into space. This can be done to free up space in their hold. This action also allows you to jettison active missions. Any active missions you no longer care to complete can be discarded to free up space for another mission. When jettisoned, cargo cubes are placed in the space the ship is in at the time of the action. If a relic token is jettisoned, it is destroyed and returned to the box. If cargo cubes were jettisoned in the path of a comet, and the comet enters the space with the cubes are destroyed and returned to supply. Any cubes left on the board can be picked up by any ship that enters that space and performs the minor action of collect cubes. The ship simply places any or all cubes into their hold and continues with their turn. Exploring is a big part of the game, for very little is known of the star system when you first arrive. There are two ways to explore new sectors in the game: to scan or to blind jump. Scanning is the safe way to explore a new sector. While adjacent to the edge of the board, a player may stop and take a scan action. They spend 1 energy and then draw the top tile from the pile of sectors. This new sector is placed adjacent to the current sector, oriented to match the symbols seen along the edge. For example, if the ship was here and performed a scan action, they draw the next sector and align the square icon with the square icon of the sector drawn. If the ship later moves here and scans again, this time the sector would be aligned to match up the T's. It is irrelevant if all other icons on all other sides don't match. Only match the side being explored from. Scanning may be safe, but it costs energy and requires the ship to surrender all remaining movement to perform. To conserve energy and momentum, a ship can blind jump. Blind jumping is performed when a ship simply moves off the edge of the board. The next sector is drawn, and it's placed using the same rules as a scan with the icons matching up. The ship is then placed on the space it had moved into. It's possible that this blind jump causes the ship to pass through a border it was unaware was there. Any border passed through must be resolved. Once the sector is in place and any borders have been resolved, the player can continue their movement. The chasm sector has unique gravity paths that can push a player off the sector. If a gravity path pushes a player off the edge of a sector into an unexplored area, an automatic blind jump is performed. Any borders are resolved, and the ship stops in the new space. If this happens and there are no more sectors to draw, the ship stops in the final space. When a new sector is placed, check to see if the exploration symbol appears on it. If so, randomly take an exploration token from the supply and place it face down on this space. The first ship to enter this space may take the minor action of collecting exploration tokens. When taken, the player flips the exploration token face up and resolves the action showing on it. If it shows a picture of a cargo cube, the ship immediately found it floating in space. The player may freely take that matching cube from the supply and put it into their hold. If they do not have space, it is placed on the board as if jettisoned. If the icon shows the energy symbol, then a charging station has been found, and the ship immediately refills its energy meter to full. Finding an exploration token with the ice damage symbol causes 1 ice damage to the ship. Shields may be activated as normal to prevent the damage. If this icon appears, the ship's scanners have found a wormhole, and you immediately gain 5 additional movement. Finally, this icon indicates that the player has encountered a captain in need. The player draws the top card of the mission deck, and ignores all parts of it except the final destination. The captain is seeking a ride to this mission point. If the player declines on helping the captain, the mission card is simply discarded and the player's turn continues. If accepted, the mission is placed face up as an active mission, and 1,000 credits is placed upon it. If this new Captain in Need mission would cause the player to be over their active mission limit, then another mission must be discarded. When the ship enters the mission point of the indicated sector, a complete mission action can be taken and the captain has been delivered. The player receives the 1,000 credits and a fame point. The mission card is then discarded. After resolving any exploration token, it is placed on the ship mat. When the player has 2 exploration tokens sitting on their mat, they discard both of them, returning them to the box, and choose either to gain 2,000 credits or 1 fame. The final 2 actions to cover are special abilities and rescuing a stranded player. If you recall, all ships come with a unique ability card. When and how they can be used is described on the card. After use, they are turned over to mark they've been used this turn. Let me go over just a few of the complex abilities. The Mag Harpoon is an ability that allows the persistent memory to attach to another ship and travel with it, always entering the space the host ship leaves. If the host's movement causes the persistent memory to go through borders, then they are resolved as normal. If the persistent memory is an outlaw and its host is lawful, trying to enter a lawful planet, the outlaw must detach at the entrance, since outlaws cannot go through lawful entrances. The Skimmer, Carriac, and Nightshade all have 2 actions on their cards, one of which does not cause the card to be used. For example, the Nightshade is able to replicate the ability of an adjacent ship by placing this token on the card. Doing this does not use the card. However, when these ships' cards are used and turned over from their primary ability, the secondary ability is also unavailable until the card gets refreshed. It is possible to run out of energy while in space. When a ship ends its turn with its energy at 0 and all markers in the disarmed location, the ship is considered stranded. While stranded, a player is only able to take minor actions and can only rely on their impulse engine to move. The ship remains stranded until it can impulse itself to a planet where it can then recharge. However, it is possible for another ship to come to the rescue. To perform a rescue action, you must be adjacent to the stranded ship and have at least 3 energy to give. The active player spends 2 energy by lowering their energy marker 2 spaces. At the same time, the stranded ship receives the energy by increasing his energy by 2, or by rearming 2 markers, or a mix of both. The stranded player may not deny the rescue. The active player receives a fame point for their good deed.
A player may take as many of the actions we've gone over in any order and as many times as they see fit and are able to. Once a player feels they've done all the actions they're going to do, they enter the status phase of their turn.
The status phase is a brief phase in which the elements of the game are updated. The status phase must be done in the following order. First, freezing. Any ice damage in the hold of your ship spreads to each adjacent space, not diagonally. Place an ice damage token in all spaces adjacent to existing ice damage. If a space already has normal damage, then no ice damage is placed here. Second is claiming fame. This action is in regards to title cards. These are the goals that can be accomplished by any player who satisfies the condition of the title. If the player has satisfied the condition of one or more of the title cards, they are claimed at this time. The player receives the fame points listed on the card and then keeps the card and gains the special power listed on the bottom. Third is to draw a new title. If the current player was the first to cross a yellow fame point space, then a new title is revealed at this time. Draw the top card of the title deck, read it aloud, and place it near the board. Fourth is refresh. Any ability card that you flipped over this turn, return to face up and can be used again next turn. If the impulse engine had been used, it too is refreshed by flipping the token yellow side up. In addition, if buying cargo cubes left any area on the economy board empty, 1,000 credits are placed on those areas at this time. These resources are now considered in demand. Lastly is to arm markers. All markers that were placed onto outfits this turn are moved to the disarmed area. The player may then spend 1 energy per marker to move it to armed. Only armed markers can be used next turn. Any markers left disarmed cannot be.
And after the status phase, play then passes to the player to your left. But if the player ended their action phase on a planet, then before their status phase, they can do some business.
The business phase occurs after the action phase and before the status phase, if and only if the ship ended its action phase on a planet or space station. In the business phase, the player is free to take any number of business actions they please, and in any order they want. Here are all the business things you can do. First is to recharge. Being on a planet allows the ship to become fully charged. Move the energy marker to the highest position, and move all markers to armed. Planets give a chance for a ship to be repaired. The planet's warmth melts all ice damage the ship had suffered. Discard all blue damage tokens for free. Orange damage markers can be removed if paid for. Tier 1 and 2 ships cost 1,000 credits to repair, where Tier 3 ships cost 2,000 credits. If paid, remove all orange damage markers from your hold. While on a planet, the player may re-outfit their ship. New outfits can be bought and old outfits can be sold. If an outfit is damaged, it must first be repaired before the outfit can be sold. Undamaged outfits and mods are sold back for half of what you paid for them, rounding up. So mods, Tier 1 and Tier 2 outfits sell back for 1,000 credits, and Tier 3 outfits sell back for 2,000 credits. The cost to buy new outfits and mods is printed on the items themselves. During the business phase, the position within the cargo hold of all cargo cubes, relics, outfits, and mods may be moved around to reorganize your ship's hold. With enough credits, a player can upgrade to a new ship. Tier 2 ships cost 5,000 credits, and Tier 3 ships cost 8,000 credits. When buying a new ship, a player can only buy a ship exactly 1 tier higher than their current ship, meaning a player cannot buy a Tier 3 ship until they've bought a Tier 2. Also, you are not required to repair your ship first to buy the new one. When a new ship is bought, the player looks through all the green Tier 2 ship mats and their ability cards and chooses a ship to make their own. This ship mat is placed over their Tier 1 ship, and all the markers, outfits, and mods are moved to the new ship, fully repaired. If the Tier 1 ship had a bounty, this is removed. New ships come into the game lawful. The new ability card is placed next to the other, and both can be used with the new ship. In addition, word gets around that someone got a new ship. You gain a fame point. The final business action is that of buying fame. Each 5,000 credits you spend gains you 1 fame point. You are not allowed to buy the winning fame point in this manner.
Now, as you pass your play to the player on your left, an NPC card may be sitting between you and that player. If this is the case, then before the next player starts their action, the NPC is activated.
NPCs, or non-player characters, are ships of Zaya who run on a script, constantly moving through the system and can interact with the players. When their card is reached in player order, the players collectively perform and agree upon its actions. How the NPCs behave is written on the NPC card. The players run through the instructions from top to bottom. When the NPC moves, they take the most direct route to its target or destination. This may include using the gates. If there are 2 or more possible targets or paths to the same destination, a die roll determines which the NPC will favor. NPCs will avoid traveling through any borders that cause physical or ice damage. NPCs will freely move through nebulas, on gravity lines, and onto comet paths, and not trigger their effects. NPCs can enter the space station and planets through their entrances. The Enforcer is the law. He polices the star system and seeks to destroy all outlaw ships. The Enforcer first enters play when the sector Kepler-2 is discovered. The Enforcer starts on its spawn point, or an adjacent space if it's taken. The Enforcer is lawful in alignment and is immune to gaining bounty. Going through the script from top to bottom, it starts by acquiring a target. First, it will target the last ship to attack it. This will be known by the player marker present on the card. If that target is more than 2 sectors away, then the player marker is returned and it seeks a different target. Moving to the next item says it will target the closest outlaw ship up to 1 sector away. This can include the Scoundrel NPC. Search the sector it currently rests on and all 6 surrounding sectors. If there are any outlaw ships on any of these, it will target the closest one. When calculating distance, count spaces to the shortest direct route, ignoring all borders. Any ties are broken with a die roll. If no outlaws are found in range, proceed to the final bullet. The Enforcer targets the most distant lawful planet. The range to the planet is measured to the space right inside the planetary entrance. Ties again are broken with a die roll. Once the target has been established, the Enforcer moves 6 spaces towards it. If the target is an outlaw ship, it moves only close enough to get within missile range and gain line of sight. Remember that it will avoid moving through any physical or ice damaging borders. If needed, it will enter planets through their entrances. This includes outlaw planets, since the Enforcer is immune to bounty. If, after movement, the target is in missile range and line of sight is earned, the Enforcer attacks with its D8 missile. The defender may defend as normal. If attacking a player who attacked the Enforcer, that player's marker is returned to them after the attack. If the Enforcer destroys an outlaw ship, the bounty is placed on the Enforcer card. NPCs are very single-minded. The target they acquired at the start of their script is the only target they care about until the start of the next round when they repeat the script. It's possible an outlaw ship is attackable, but it wasn't the target at the start of the script. The Enforcer will not attack. For example, this outlaw ship is 2 sectors away, and thus cannot be the target of the Enforcer. The Enforcer instead targets this lawful planet. By moving closer to this planet, the Enforcer ends up in missile range and line of sight of the outlaw. The Enforcer does not attack, because its announced target was the planet, not the outlaw. The Enforcer may be attacked by players. When attacked, the players place their spare player marker on the Enforcer card. If another player's marker is already on the card, return it to them. The Enforcer defends all attack with a D8 shield. All damage taken is placed on the card. If ever 12 damage tokens are on the card, the Enforcer is destroyed and removed from the board. The defeating player receives all credits on the card, 2 fame points, and incurs 2,000 credits of bounty. Their player marker is also returned to them. When the Enforcer's turn comes up again, a D20 is rolled and the Enforcer spawns at the closest spawn point to the number rolled, and begins his script from there. The Scoundrel is a dirty pirate. He's only after taking down innocent ships. The Scoundrel enters play with and when the planet Loathe is discovered, and spawns on its spawn point. The Scoundrel always spawns with 2,000 credits of bounty on its card, and thus is always an outlaw ship. The first step of the Scoundrel's turn is to acquire a target. First, it will target the last ship to attack it. This again will be known by the player marker present on the card. Keep in mind that the Scoundrel will never attack the Enforcer. even if it was the last to attack it. If that target is more than 2 sectors away, then the player marker is returned and the scoundrel seeks a different target. If not previously attacked, the scoundrel will then target the nearest lawful ship at any range, ignoring the enforcer, but it may target the merchant if it's closest. Any ties are solved by a die roll. If the nearest lawful ship is on a lawful planet, the scoundrel will fly to the entrance of the planet and wait outside. Being an outlaw, it can never enter a lawful planet. If there are no lawful ships on the map, then the scoundrel will target its home planet of Loathe. It targets the space just inside the planetary entrance. Once the target is determined, the scoundrel moves 5 spaces towards it. If the scoundrel ends up adjacent to its target ship and has line of sight, it will then attack with its D8 blaster. The defender can defend as usual. After any attack, the scoundrel runs by moving 8 spaces towards the entrance space of Loathe. If the scoundrel destroys a lawful ship, an additional 1,000 credit of bounty is added to its card. Players are allowed to attack the scoundrel. They place their colored marker on the card, returning any other player's marker if present. The scoundrel defends all attacks with a single D6 and requires 10 damage marker on its card to be destroyed. Upon its death, it is removed from the map, and the defeating player, or enforcer, receives all bounty on the card. A player gains 1 fame point and gets his marker back. When the scoundrel's turn comes up again, a D20 is rolled, and the scoundrel spawns at the spawn point closest to the number rolled. Remember to give the scoundrel its 2,000 bounty and then begin its script. The merchant is just a peaceful trader. It minds its business transporting resources across the star system. The merchant card shows a path of planets making up its trade route. The merchant doesn't spawn into the game until at least 2 of the planets on its trade route are discovered. The merchant spawns on the spawn point of the planet discovered second. The merchant's first target is the closest cell space. Roll a die to break any ties. Use a spare cargo cube to mark the merchant's current target planet. The merchant always travels 8 spaces, trying to reach the cell space. When reached, it stops and receives 1,000 credits. On its next turn, it targets the next planet in the trade route and begins its movement. If any planet on the trade route is undiscovered, simply skip over that planet and have the merchant head to the next discovered one. After a while, the merchant may have collected quite a bit of coin. A player hurting for credits can go after it. The merchant can be attacked and will always defend with a D8 shield. If 15 damage tokens are placed on the card, the merchant is destroyed. Upon death, remove the figure from the board and give the defeating ship all the money, 1 fame point, and 1,000 credits of bounty. When the defeated merchant's turn comes around again, roll a D20 and respawn it at the closest spawn point matching the number rolled. The merchant will begin its script, traveling first to the planet with the closest cell space. Roll to break ties. Because of the random layout of each board and the random respawn locations, it's possible that a sector of the board is unreachable by an NPC without going through damaging borders. Take, for example, this configuration. As it sits, there's no way for the merchant to get to the cell point of Azure without going through the borders that can cause it damage. Only in these rare cases will the NPC then fly through damaging borders. It will take the route that allows it to pass through as few borders as possible, favoring going through asteroid fields before going through debris fields, and only at the very last resort will it ever attempt to go through planetary shields. When an NPC has to go through a border, they are resolved the exact same way as if it was a player, and the NPC will always roll for defense if it needs to. And with that, there's only one more thing to go over. For the remainder of the video, I'm going to go over each mission type and how they are resolved. Shuttle missions require a player to fly to a mission point in one sector, pick up passengers, and fly to the mission point of another sector to drop them off. The further the two sectors are apart, the more the payment is after delivery. When figuring shortest flyable distance between sectors, start with the sector of pickup and count sectors until the delivery sector is reached. Don't count unexplored areas or the star sector, as it is not flyable. Also, do not factor teleportation gates that may happen to make your physical trip shorter. If the delivery sector is not yet discovered, then after picking up passengers, temporarily place a token of any sort to represent that you have completed the objective. I recommend the credit exploration tokens from the base game. Once the delivery sector has been discovered, remove the token and place proper payment on the mission. Research missions require a player to fly to a mission point of a sector and conduct research. This is done with a roll of a d20 and consulting the table on the mission card to determine the quality of research performed. Once complete, the player then delivers the data results to the mission point of the indicated sector to receive payment and fame. Research missions can benefit from experience. Let's say I've completed 2 other research missions already, and I'm about to complete the objective of my third, but I rolled a 4, leading to no significant data. Because I'm an experienced researcher, I may discard a previously completed research mission to re-roll the results of this research mission. I may turn in and re-roll as many times as I'm able to discard completed research missions. Bounty hunter missions require a player to find any outlaw ship in the star system and destroy it. This outlaw can be a player or NPC. If an outlaw dies by the hand of the bounty hunter, this mission is revealed and a d20 is rolled. The result will determine in what state the outlaw is returned to the authorities, determining how much you get paid. Experienced bounty hunters may turn in previously completed missions to re-roll. Cargo missions simply require the player to pick up desired cargo and deliver it to the sector in need. How the player obtains the cargo is up to them, but their payment is based on how much of the order they can fulfill. Once any of the orders are in the player's hold, the card is revealed and payment placed atop it. Going to the mission point of the delivery sector and removing the delivered cargo from your hold completes the mission for payment and fame. Private eye missions require a player to visit the mission point of a sector and then investigate for unlawful activity. Investigating requires them to reveal and discard the top 3 mission cards. Success is based on how many outlaw missions were revealed. Revealing none results in a mission failure, and the mission card is discarded without pay. Smuggler missions are lucrative, but with the high security of the star system, very hard to pull off. A player must first pick up their contraband at the mission point of the indicated sector. Nothing physically goes into the hold of your ship, but at this point the mission is revealed, and the payment is placed based on the distance the contraband has to be carried. Like shuttle missions, if the delivery sector is not yet discovered, place a credit token on this card and recalculate the payment once the sector has been found. Smuggler missions always deliver to a planet. At the moment you enter any space on the planet, regardless of how you entered the planet, you must roll a d20 to see if you are able to sneak the contraband inside. A roll of a 12 or below means you are caught and the contraband is confiscated. The mission fails and is discarded, and you receive 1,000 credits of bounty. All other results means you successfully snuck the contraband through. Experienced smugglers may discard prior successful mission cards to re-roll. If successfully onto the planet with your contraband, arrive at the mission point to get your payment and fame. Thief missions allow the player to move adjacent to another ship, secretly board the ship, and steal precious goods from it. The target of the thieving attempt is given on the mission card. If you're playing a 2-player game, then the NPCs count as players in figuring the target for thief missions. It's also possible that the mission refers to an NPC themselves. To complete the objective, The thief is required to fly adjacent to the target ship. To be adjacent, it must be exactly one space away from the target, but not have a planetary shield between the two. Ships on a planet are considered to be in low altitude, while ships in space are considered to be higher. Meaning ships one space away can still not be adjacent if one of them is on a planet. Also notice that thieving doesn't require line of sight. Two ships can be adjacent to each other and still not have line of sight with each other, such as this case. The asteroid border prevents line of sight, but both ships are adjacent. Thieves love it when you can't see them. Once the thief is adjacent to the target, it reveals his mission and rolls a d20. The result of the roll is compared to the table to determine how much is stolen. Nothing is physically moved from one ship's hold to the other. The goods being taken are considered to be small materials or even data that wouldn't take up room in the ship's hold. On a roll of a 1 through 5, the thief has been detected. The mission fails and is discarded, and the thief incurs a 1,000 credit bounty. An experienced thief may discard previously completed thief missions to re-roll the die. If successful, the thief delivers the stolen goods to the mission point of the indicated sector and is paid his credits and fame. Assassin missions are simply seek and destroy. The target of the mission is given on the mission card and again refers to where the players, or NPCs in a two-player game, are sitting around the table. To complete the objective of an assassin mission, the target ship must die while the assassin has this mission as one of his active missions. How the target dies is irrelevant. Whether the target dies by being attacked by the assassin, another player or NPC, or even to the environmental causes like asteroids or comets, the assassin mission objective is complete when the target dies. Upon death, the player reveals the mission and places payment upon it, based on the target's ship tier. Upon delivering the corpse, or at least the news of its defeat, the player receives the payment of the mission, the fame it rewards, and the bounty that incurs. An arms dealer is asked to take military outfits to sectors who maybe shouldn't have them in the first place. To complete the objective, the arms dealer must have the undamaged weapon outfit, whether it be blasters or missiles, in the hold of their ship. Where and how the player acquires the outfit is up to them, or they can simply use the weapon outfit they were currently using on their ship. As soon as the appropriate outfit is in the hold of the ship, the mission is revealed and payment is placed upon it. Payment is based on the tier of the outfit being delivered. When the arms dealer arrives at the delivery mission point of the proper sector, they remove the weapon outfit from their hold, receive the payment, earn their fame, and incur the bounty. Coerce missions asks a player to attack a ship, but not to destroy it, rather to scare. The target of the attack is listed at the top of the card and depends on the position players, and possibly the NPCs, are sitting around the table. The coercing ship simply moves within attack range of the target, at which point the mission is revealed and an attack is made. The payment of the mission is dependent on how much total damage is dealt to the hold of the target ship. If the target's shields block all the damage, then the mission failed. Your mission also fails if you deal too much damage and the target ship is destroyed. Dealing at least 2 damage without destroying the ship completes the objective, and payment is placed on the card accordingly. Upon delivering the news to the mission point of the proper sector, payment is received, fame is earned, and bounty is incurred.
And that is everything you need to know to jump into a game of Xayah, Embers of a Foresaken Star. This game also comes with an awesome solo version that you will see on this channel in the next coming weeks. I will play against the NPCs in a race for fame. I will explain the changes to the base game as I play. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments below, and I'll answer them as soon as I can. Enjoy your game!